Working on Gemini Rights was a dream. Great people making great music. That's what it's all about for me. It's actually kind of rare to work on an entire record as an engineer. Nowadays, there's often multiple producers working on a project, all who typically have their own engineers or cut everything themselves. But for Gemini Rights, the bulk of it was just Steve and I in a room. Even when Steve brought in someone to collaborate, they would come to us, so to have a hand in the pot from beginning to end through all the permutations was just the ultimate privilege. And when you're able to spend that much time with someone creatively, you're really able to see their vision and develop this sort of telepathic relationship. And collectively, you become this machine all working towards the same thing. So I'm just super grateful for that opportunity because those sorts of creative relationships are really invaluable. Both were towards the end. In 2022, Steve had set this deadline of March 31st, which was sort of a must considering he wanted to release in Gemini season. And as we were headed into the last week, I was just totally convinced we weren't going to make it. But in that last week, Steve just brought it all together. I mean, the flip at the end of Sunshine, Cody freestyle in its entirety, Stephen Fouché finishing lyrics, production touches and everything else, full premixes, the sequence, it just all clicked. Another was we had a playback for the label, which went really well, but Steve said something which I won't share, but at the time I thought it was just the entire ethos of the record. Steve set out to really make what he wanted to make and to step up his game, and all of the choices made were his, and he stood behind all of them. And I think that artistic authenticity and confidence is why people respond the way they do to him, because it resonates. It's refreshing. Afterwards, I had some custom guitar picks printed for him with what he said as a gift after we wrapped. Has to be Give You the World. It's timeless. It's deceptively complicated between the chord changes and the melodies. Not many people could write that song, and it just all works. There's some strings that were cut with a DI, which I would normally cringe at, but it totally played into this, is it a synth, is it real feeling of the song. There's some keys that John Kirby added that was a synth, but it was very harp-like. It was just a great way to give the listener the perception of what you'd hear on like a Motown classic, but not that. And then Steve's vocal performance is just killer. And for the vocal, we initially cut it on a 251, which is what we used for the rest of his vocals on the record. But it just had too much sheen relative to the track. It felt too detached from it. So we decided to mimic the demo and just used an SM7 in the control room. Speakers down, way low, no compression. I don't even think I used EQ. And he sang it right next to me and just nailed every detail and dynamic to tape. I mean, without exaggerating, it's a milestone of my career. The process, the people, it was just a foundational experience for me. I'm very self-critical, and if there's one thing I typically do, it's downplay my contributions. I wasn't the producer. I didn't play on it. Neal mixed it. That's where my mind goes towards the things I didn't do, which I think is easy to do at a time when I think engineers are often undervalued. Even though I know it's a lot more than hitting 3 in Pro Tools, a lot of people don't. So shout out to Jacksta for showcasing engineers. But Gemini Rights is one of the few projects that I'm genuinely proud of for my contribution to it. And then to see it be as successful as it's been, and the Grammy noms and the win for Best Progressive R&B along with Steve and Neal, it's just encouraging to keep going.